Hi, so I've been checking up every second on this observation form technology video, like kind of explaining the technology and how to use Google Forms, and it just still hasn't uploaded yet, so I'm really sorry about that. But I wanted to shoot this other video to really kind of talk through um, not the technology side of it, but more like, as a classroom teacher, your day to day, like what are some of the possibilities for how to use these observation forms? So, like if all you're worried about is just getting them done and just doing enough, then these are not going to be that hard or difficult to do. They'll probably won't be valuable. They won't be any better. Um, they'll be much easier than TS Gold, but it won't be any improvement or better. Like it's really easy to use this observation form in a very kind of half-baked way and just get them done. But that's not, this is really about the reason why this template, why it's designed this way, is more about, you know, a lot of times when people think about evaluation and assessment, they're really only talking about skills or milestones that kids can demonstrate. And those things are important. Those are really important. It really is a good thing for early childhood teachers to know about healthy development for young children. Absolutely. It's also important to know about, to kind of place yourself in the observation form, in sort of in the evaluation, because you have a relationship with this child. You know this child. You spend so much time with this child, and you'll see a side of the children that parents will never see. And this is about being able to tell stories. And that's why this observation form template is designed the way that it is. And so again, going back to that point of like, if it's just about getting it done quickly, then those stories will still never be told. But if you're doing it with like intention and care to like really making sure that you capture what it was that the child was doing, then you'll be able to tell those stories in this observation. And that is evaluation. That is assessment. This is a form of evaluation. It's called portfolio style assessment. And that's what this is. So, quick story, like at Helen Gordon, we had a licensing visit once, and we were marked down as non-compliant, right? And the director Ellie was like, "What? Today was one of the best days she had ever observed at the school. There were all these amazing projects. The kids were so engaged. In the studios, the kids were working on some really complex ideas around mapping and things like that. And in the infant toddler room, they were doing this really interesting water play. And the reason why they got non-compliant was because one of their clipboards, attendance sheets, weren't filled out." Right? It's like that's what the licensing specialist was looking for. And that's the problem with these developmental checklists, is it forces you to only look at that specific thing, and you're missing the story. You're missing the whole what's actually matters. You're missing it. And so likewise, I've seen that happen over and over and over again with evaluations or assessments with developmental checklists where, this kid is sitting down at a table, he's telling this really incredible story, he's drawing, he happens to write some letters, and the letters are kind of nonsensical in that they're the direction of the letters and the letter choices don't necessarily correlate to the words that he's saying. And that's all the teacher wrote about, was that letter, the mismatch of letters, right? That's part of the story. I think that's important to note, right? It ends up on your observation form. You point that out, but there's all this other stuff that happened there that will never get captured. It'll never get retold. This child's storytelling ability, his thoughts of identity and how he sees himself, what he understands about the world and how the world works, all of that also matters. So it goes back to this question again of like, how are you going to use these observation forms? What is your end product going to be? So for me, I spent a lot of time like making diaries for each kid using these observation templates, and each kid ended up having like 60 or 70 every year, and that's a lot. 60 or 70 times 24, that's a lot. Some people only did 3 per kid every term. So that was every 3 months, basically. They had 3 per kid. That's still a lot when you multiply it by 24 kids, right? So, that was their portfolio. I did a diary. Maybe you want to do some observation forms, but you also want to have more of the children's voice in there and not so much the teacher's voice. You want them to write about themselves or to think about themselves, or more work samples or more photographs, or maybe you want to incorporate video into a portfolio somehow. That would be awesome if someone figures that out. By the way, someone should work on that. And it's about doing it in a way that makes sense for you. We're giving you that freedom because we view you as researchers. We view you as capable of coming up with ideas that may surprise us, that present some sort of new finding for us. So we're really excited about this. We can't wait to see what you come up with, and what you're going to share with us. We do have tonight for you to kind of discuss and talk things through, but also, kind of like I hope you also talk about this end goal of, not end goal, but this near-term goal of, in September, whenever the new school year starts, when you get new kids, that each classroom has some sort of observation plan. And it doesn't have to be the same. It's not like the Discovery Zone's observation plan. It's each classroom has their own way, their own style of doing it. And the only way you're going to get there, by the way, is spending these next few months experimenting and trying out some of those ideas so that you know what you're going to do. And once we know, Julie and I, once we know what your plans are, then we know how to support you, right? And once Nicole and once your leadership knows like what your plan is, then they also know how to best support you to make sure that you're able to meet those goals. All right, so I'm really excited about this. I can't wait to see or hear or read on Basecamp what you guys discussed tonight. Thanks.